Hi everyone, I'm Town Manager Kevin Smith.
I'm your Finance Director, Justin Campo.
And we're here to give you a quick crash course in all of the warrant articles you'll be voting on March the 10th during the town elections. We want to give you a brief synopsis of every single warrant article that's going to be on the ballot so you have a better idea of what they all mean when you go in there. But of course, if you have any questions on this afterwards, before the election, you can call myself, call Justin at Town Hall, 432-1100, and we'll be happy to take any of your questions. So going right into it, Article 2 is an amendment to the town charter to redefine the way we do our default budget process. Right now, under the current rules of the default budget, we can include increases to basic utility contracts, things like heat and hot water, oil, things like internet contract services that increase. Those all have to go right now in what's called the supplemental budget, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. This actually makes the default budgeting process easier to understand. It doesn't make it any less transparent, but we think it makes logical sense to amend the charter so that the default budget makes more sense to the voters going forward.
Article 3 is your fiscal year 2021 operating budget. This is for the majority of services you currently receive, and it allows the town to keep operating to the best of its ability as it is right now.
Thanks, Justin. Article 4 is that supplemental budget I talked about. Now, in the supplemental budget, you'll see things like roadway maintenance, heat and oil, water services, electrical services, all for the new fire department, and internet services. Again, these are things that previously we were able to put in the default budget before the legislature changed the rules 2 years ago. Right now, we're at the legislature's behest every single time they change the definition of default budget. So again, that's why it's critical to have that charter amendment so that we can define the default budget going forward, make it more consistent, and not have to have this supplemental budget every single time we put out the warrant.
Article 5, 6, and 7 are all related. They involve the Police Outside Detail Fund. Article 5 is establishing a new revolving fund for the Police Outside Detail. Article 6 is dissolving the current Special Revenue Fund for the outside detail. And Article 7 is currently funding the outside detail the way it is. This is an accounting change that will allow us to spend any money above what we receive for the expenses of an outside detail on the vehicle maintenance fleet. It allows us to keep the upkeep, and it helps us prevent using taxpayer dollars on maintenance that could be used from the outside detail.
And Justin, these are all supported by user fees. They're not supported by taxpayer dollars.
That's correct. These are all supported by the vendors that request a detail. So when you see one of our police out there on the side of the road working on the details for whether it's Eversource or another vendor, they pay the town the cost of the police officer, any benefits they receive, and a little administrative fee. This administrative fee will help go towards upkeeping the fleet.
And one other thing, Justin, if all of these pass, we won't have to put this on the warrant every year like we've been doing previously, so it actually cuts down on the number of warrant articles we have to have going forward.
That's correct as well.
Excellent. Okay, so number 8, Article 8 is accepting and expending state revenue. Again, we have to have this on the warrant. Now, we're getting state revenue. You'd think, why do we have to vote on accepting state revenue? Well, it's again because of those default budgeting rules. If that charter amendment passes that I talked about, we won't have to have a warrant article like this going forward. But nonetheless, we have to have this on here to accept state revenues for monies we're looking to earmark to do the intersection improvements to Stonehenge Road and Route 28. If this article fails, then we won't be able to do those improvements. Womp womp. The other thing is that if the charter amendment passes, again, we won't have to have an article like this, which means you cut down on the number of articles that are on the warrant. The reality is the warrants in the last few years have almost become longer than CVS receipts.
It's true.
And you know when they become that long, it's too long. So we're looking to cut down on the number of articles that we have going forward that are really unnecessary to put in front of the voters.
So I mean, just at Article 8, we're already cutting down 3 warrant articles if everything passes.
I would say we're doing our job right, Justin.
Exactly. Article 9 is the Roadway Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund. This allows us for maintenance on the roads and to keep them as pristine as possible.
Excellent. Article 10 is the Expendable Maintenance Trust Fund. This fund is used to do maintenance on all of our town buildings, whether it's right here at the cable studio, town hall, the senior center. If there's maintenance and repairs to the roof, the vinyl siding, the sidewalks, it all comes out of this Expendable Maintenance Fund.
Article 11 is a capital reserve fund contribution to the Geographic information systems. This is the flyover that happens every 5 years, I believe. If you go on the town website, you can see a beautiful map of the town that breaks down the map in lots. It's a very useful system, and I believe Google actually uses ours, correct?
Google does use our system, yes. It's not the other way around. Article 12 is the Pillsbury Cemetery Expansion Capital Reserve Fund. This is just to keep on expanding Pillsbury Cemetery. We're actually running out of the amount of land we have for our cemeteries, so it's very important that we keep funding this capital reserve so that we can do what's necessary to prepare all the lots there and make sure we have plenty of room going into the foreseeable future for cemetery needs in the town of Londonderry.
Article 13 is the Cemetery Capital Reserve contribution. This is for the maintenance and repairs of all town-owned cemeteries. It's intended to help maintain some of the older headstones and repair those. The town has been around since before 1722, but I believe we were established in 1722.
1719 we were in Nutfield, and in 1722 we became Londonderry.
So back then they did not have the perpetual care, and this helps us keep the historic aspect of those old headstones.
Well said, Justin. Article 14 is the Fire Department Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. This is exactly what it sounds like. This is to purchase the much needed fire equipment for our fire department, whether it be stretchers, defibrillators, the equipment that the gear that they use. None of this stuff is cheap. It's very expensive, but nonetheless, we want to make sure, look at these guys and women do an amazing job for us, and we want to make sure that they have the best equipment possible, and that's what this Capital Reserve Fund helps to do.
Article 15 is a Cable Equipment Capital Reserve Fund contribution. This has zero tax impact as it is a contribution from the current Comcast public access agreement. This has to be on the warrant going forward, as the state of New Hampshire said that it does.
Always that state of New Hampshire telling us what to do.
It always is.
Article 16 establishes the Recreation Department Capital Reserve Fund. This would be solely to upkeep equipment that is currently a part of the Recreation Department, or to purchase new equipment such as riding lawnmowers. There's a lot of fields that we have maintenance on here in town, whether it's at West Road or up on Sargent Road and Nelson Road. And we want to make sure that we're keeping up with our equipment repairs, or that when it becomes necessary to purchase new equipment, we have the ability to do so.
Article 17 is allowing the town to enter into 3 lease agreements up to 10 years for 2 6-wheelers and 1 one-ton pickup truck. This allows us to keep our public works vehicles more up to date and spend less money on maintenance for those vehicles.
Article 18 is the town hall parking lot repaving. If you've been over to the town hall parking lot anytime recently, you would know that it's fallen into complete disrepair. There's potholes everywhere, ponding all over the place. There's the spider web cracks. At this point, it needs to be ripped up, completely paved over with the proper drainage put in so that it lasts a lot longer. We've got beautiful facilities around this parking lot, but the parking lot itself is it's an unmitigated disaster right now. And frankly, I'm surprised someone hasn't maybe popped a tire on their way into town hall, because it's that bad.
Yeah.
By the way, the cost of asphalt, it's again not cheap. It's pretty expensive. That's why this is a $265,000 warrant article supported out of the undesignated fund balance, so it does have zero tax impact. But nonetheless, in order to do a complete repaving, put in the drainage, and put the new asphalt down, it's not a cheap project. Articles 19 through 28 all have to do with the collective bargaining agreements that we've recently done with 5 of the unions on the town side. The town has 6 unions total, 5 of them were up this year. And so we have 1801, which are your town clerks, the great folks at the DPW garage, as well as your administrative assistants. There's the public safety management for both the police and fire department. You have town hall management, which also had a collective bargaining agreement this year. There's the department heads and all of the departments on the town side. And then there is the Londonderry Police Department as well, your patrol officers and such. All of these contracts are up for a vote. When you look at the estimated costs and the tax impact, that includes both of their cost of living adjustment, the COLA, as well as their step increase or their merit increase. You don't get a step and a merit, you only get one. But that's what those estimated costs are and the tax impact is. I would also note that after each article, you'll see there's an authorization for a special meeting. That is in case any of these collective bargaining unit agreements fails, that we could have a special meeting to vote on it again if we come to another agreement prior to next March.
These estimated costs, they're tied to CPI, correct? And these are currently the highest possible?
Most of them are in here. I believe the only one that isn't is the police, the patrol officers. The rest, I believe, are tied to the CPI, and as Justin says, they're budgeted at what the ceiling is, which is either 2 or 2.5%, depending on the contract. And so we have to budget at that, but if CPI comes in lower, obviously, we'll make those adjustments, yes.
Perfect. Article 29 is to approve Keno games. This was a citizen petition. This allows vendors to determine whether or not they would like to have Keno in their establishment.
And Article 30 was also done by citizens petition. That's a resolution to take action on climate pollution. So folks, again, that was a very quick, brief run through of all of these warrant articles, but we wanted to make sure that you were able to understand them before you go into the voting booth. Again, if you have questions, call us at Town Hall, 432-1100. Ask for Justin, ask for Kevin. We're also there from 8:30 to 5 o'clock on any given day, Monday through Friday. And you don't have to come in and just see us. We got great people all around Town Hall that would love to talk to you if you want to come on in. So again, thank you for your time, and we hope to see you on Tuesday, March 10th.
Have a great day and get out there and vote.